Great. Welcome to this the second session of the artist talk of this wonderful Delhi Photo Festival. And a lot of things have been going on. Photographers have been complaining that they can't get sleep in the night because so many things happening going ahead. Anyway, to start this afternoon, let me introduce Kurt. Kurt was born in Austria in 1972. Having been originally educated in telecommunications, he then turned to photography, beginning his studies in Prague in 1992. He founded a school of photography in Austria in 1996 and now teaches history of photography, journalism, and is a lecturer at the St. Fulton University of Applied Sciences. He's a publisher of 3 books and he has won several awards. And exhibited his work at various places at home and abroad. Over the last few years, multimedia projects have been a focal point of his activities.
So thanks for the introduction and thanks for coming and good afternoon. Okay. Yeah.
Can you have the light off, please?
First, I would like to say thank you to the organizers of this wonderful festival here in Delhi, and I'm really happy that we, Alexandra and me, got the opportunity to exhibit and show our work, parts of our work here in Delhi. And thanks to Prashant, thanks to Dinesh, and thanks to Mansi and all the other people. And thanks to Victoria Wagner from the Austrian Cultural Forum, from the Austrian Embassy. She supported us with the flights to join this festival and to participate physically at this festival. And Mahesh, sorry, mentioned before, I'm also teaching, and I'm also teaching history of photography, and it's quite easy for me to speak about this topic, but it's quite hard sometimes to speak about my own projects and my own work, but I will try it. And photography is, of course, a very important part of my life, but Marish mentioned it also before. I'm very interested in collaborating with people from other disciplines like musicians and composers and writers, and I did some different projects in this field with composers, this multimedia stuff, and I really love to do this kind of things because it brings me further in my photographic work and also in my work in my daily life, and it makes me more open, I think, open-minded to the point of view to the world in general, I would say. Photography is a big thing, actually, as you can also see here in the exhibitions, in the different exhibitions, very different positions, and if you compare it to each other, you can find some similarities, but actually you can find a wide range of things happened in the past years in this, in this tiny little festival. So it's a huge thing, and it's also a huge thing for every person who tried to work in this field like me. And so when I was starting as a photographer, I was very interested in getting the skills, you know. It took me days and months and years to develop my own pictures, and we could discuss it, also the things we discussed yesterday, you know, analog and digital. I don't want to speak about these things, but you know, as a photographer in the beginning, it was a very important thing, and during this time I spent in the dark room, you know, I don't know who is experienced in this field in the audience, but many of you will have this experience or got this experience, and me too. So there is a lot of time. There's a lot of time for thinking, and in this processing films and developing pictures and developing myself. And I thought about things, of course, and I thought about photography during these times, during my stay in the darkroom, and it came up that there must be more than only taking photographs. So there must be more than single photographs. And I started to work on series and projects and try to find subjects which were very close to my environment or very close to my surrounding, and I tried to enlarge this surrounding, and it brought me to different countries and brought me to different spaces, also in this way of how to feel and how to live and how to see the world. And it brought me also to Bangladesh and to India. And the first project I want to show you and I want to speak about is the project which is also exhibited here at the Daily Photo Festival. It's the Videshi Photo Studio. And I don't want to speak too many words about this thing because you can see it and you can see it outside. But Alexandra and me spent 3 months in Rudrapur, which is a very small village in northwest of Bangladesh, and we tried to set up this studio, this daylight studio made from bamboo and mud. And we also did a documentary about the project, a film about this project, and I want to show a few scenes out of this film and to maybe bring you closer to the project. And I mean, photography is the one thing, film is another thing, and the reality is totally different. So that's the advantage of photography, from my opinion, and also a problem of the medium. We cannot describe with our photographs what we really felt and what the experience was when we did it. So this is probably also the wrong way to describe photography, but sometimes people try to explain or to try to tell us with their photograph that this happened and this we got this experience, but I don't trust in this kind of thing. So anyway, this is the short, very few scenes of the film. It's 45 minutes, and I think it's all in all 7 or 8 minutes I put out a bit. So this is the beginning. I hope you can read it. Otherwise, I will. It's only the first. I will stop talking. It's better. Video. It's 1.25 meters. Yeah.
1.1 meters.
But 45 inch, you know, 1 inch is 2.54.
filmen så det ser de er fein frem, eller?
Så schön, das wird doch.
Ein bisschen runtergehört schon, glaube ich.
Ja, da rechts geht auch.
Dann, na, all down, I think.
Oh, so gut, ja.
Ja, komm, ey, das ist viel zu hoch. Ich gehe mal aus, das steht doppelt so viel drüber, was du
Was ordinary life?
Namki?
We stand at a very significant time in the world today. It's a very divided world. And while there is new technology, while there is globalization, while there's so much connecting us, it is also true that at this point in time, there's a whole lot of things that separate us, that need to be fixed.
So, and now we are here, and this is very good, and this is perfect, and this moment, this particular moment, makes me very proud and very happy.
And if you're talking of languages commonality, there's perhaps no better language to speak together than the language of photography. That is what unites us, that's what brings us together, that's what bridges the gaps.
هل أتاك حديث الجنود فرعون وثمود بل الذين كفروا في تقليد والله من ورائهم محيط بل هو قرآن
Der Sister? All sisters, three sisters.
Once again. Few scenes out of the film BDG Photo Studio, so it's actually 45 minutes long, but yeah. Yeah, I will show you photos out of the series, but actually it's activated, so I will do it very quickly. So, you know, you can see we have also our studio designer Anna Heringer. She's a German architect who is very successful and who built up a school in Rudrapur, which brought me to Rudrapur. Because I photographed the school project before, 3 years before we set up the studio project, or to set up the studio. So, and we collaborated with a Bangladeshi NGO and got some support from this side. Okay. Few pictures, but many of them are in the exhibition. I tried to publish this project, but it didn't work out well since now. So I made this dummy. If you are interested in, I can put it on the table, and we can talk about this thing later. But, you know, I'm hopeful that something happens in the next months with publishing this project. And I think photographic books are very important. Also, even nowadays, if we have all this kind of tools like internet and Facebook and all these things, but a photographic book is always a photographic book, and it has a big importance also in our time. So I think there is no better way to present or to find the right way to for me no other way or no better way to bring project to people, to the audience, to interested people as a book. So I don't know if you have any other ideas, but me not. So another project which is which takes me a long time. It's actually a work in progress thing. It happens every year. There's a festival for contemporary music in Austria, in the Austrian Alps. It's called Composers Forum Mittersiel. The shortcut is COFOMI, and I'm always there for 10 days together with musicians, composers, for 10 days in a very small farm in the Austrian Alps. And you know, there are discussions, there are people, musicians composing, and there is a symposium. There's a big exchange of ideas what contemporary music or contemporary art in general is. And so it's also a very interesting opportunity for me to get a little bit more open-minded in other fields than my field, my discipline, photography. So, and I started to portrait the participants in 2005, and it's still going on. And you know, you see some staged portraits like the portraits before, but this portrait series is more ironic, and it has to do with the place, of course, because it's a very special place. It's a farm where we are, where we spend time 10 days together, and where we stay together for 10 days, and ask always the people, the participants, the composers, the musicians, to find a place around the farm, and if they found a place, I do the setup. I'm always using this kind of strong flashlight to create this kind of artificial moment. You know, because many of them are living in the cities and in towns and not in the villages. And they come to the village, they come to the Austrian Alps, to a special place, and I want to make a very special setting with them. So it's sometimes quite funny, sometimes ironic. You can see it. and as you probably recognized, the farmer is kind of messy. I don't know if you know this word. He collects everything, as you saw in many pictures, and he's like a director of a museum. He collects and doesn't throw away anything, you know. And this is a very strange place in some situations, as you saw, are really. It's like a museum, and I love this place. I would hate it if I would have to live there, but in this case, it's a stage and it's a forum for artists and people who are interested in arts and working together for 10 days. It's a very sophisticated and interesting and extraordinary place, and I try to set up this kind of extraordinary situation. So the next project is also about people. So since I think since 7-8 years, I'm really interested in people in different forms of presenting people, in different forms of capturing people. And the first two projects, I think you get a little impression about what I meant now with this saying. So, and the next project is also very different. It's also about human being. It's also about people who are attracts me in this field of photography. And this project is called People Scans. And the thing is that I tried to set up a kind of scanner which made make it possible to scan surfaces of human beings, as I can say. So this is one example of this, and every picture is very similar, but you know, we throughout this strange perspective, and because of the lying situation through the scan process, and because of the stitching, because you know I'm stitching these photographs, I'm scanning a person, or I'm how to say I make 15 single photographs or 20 single photographs from each person with my scanner. I can show you the scanner maybe first. You can imagine it better. And first people are lying on the floor, and then I'm doing the exposure, the decisive minute, as Cartier-Bresson said, this decisive moment, and for me this is more or less the decisive minute. But you know, it's also a game with the moment in photography and with the moment in portrait photography, because you know you have to be very spontaneous as a photographer in the portrait genre. So in this case, you have to be very precise with if I speak about the conceptual phase and the structure and the staging thing, you have to prepare everything very carefully, and the portrait process is reduced to a technical process. You know, there is no emotion, there is no particular moment necessary. There is only this minute or this 2 minutes and nothing else, and the output is very emotionless. So. And the prints are actually life size, so each blade is 2 meters to 80 centimeters, and in this plate there are the people. If they are bigger, I have to think about enlarging the plates. But this project I started this project in 2005, and I'm using a very high resolution digital camera, and stitching it together, and I get a huge a high quality image. And very important is, you're not able to see it now, is the life size print, because you can see every wrinkle and every point and every everything, every little hair on the skin, and this kind of details, which me are very important in this project. I'm not very fixed. Normally, I'm not so fixed in details and this technical things and this technical approach. But in this project, I work very carefully also in this way of going straight through this process in a technical way. And yeah, I will go with this project. I will go to Venice in November and December, and I will do the Venetian scans for a month. And in February, March, or in January, February, I will go to Iran and will do the same. So I try to make a landscape scan of people maybe around the world. I don't know how it's going on in the next month or years. Yeah, another project which is very new and which I will show you as the last example of my work is 5070 or expecting. If you see the last picture, you will recognize the first title of the project. Expecting is about my wife, about Alexandra. So we got a baby. He is now 1.5 years, and he's probably already waiting for us. And we should leave immediately, actually, but you know, it's not the right time now. But we have to go tomorrow morning. And he's now 1.5 years old, and I make a kind of reportage of the pregnancy of Alexandra. And I was using for this reportage also the large format system because I wanted to do it very slow, you know. I want to create this kind of reportage style on the one hand. On the other hand, I wanted to have this kind of stage situation. So it's a mixture of both. I hope it works for you. For me, it works almost well, but you have to decide by yourself. You know, Ragurai mentioned it yesterday. It's if you use this kind of large system, you have to be very careful. You have to be very slow. You have to use a tripod. You have to work with long exposure times and all these things. And I was really I love to work in this field. I mean, I don't want to discuss this digital analog thing because it's boring me. But in this case, I was really. It was really necessary, and I always decide which camera or which system I use when I'm thinking about the project and the background and how it should look at the end, and then I decide which kind of camera or which kind of technical way I will go, and which kind of technical way is necessary to bring this kind of things out which I wanted to. Yeah, this is cultural life in Austria. Yes, this is the final picture of this project. Of course, it's an ongoing project. But this is also the first title of the project. It's 5070. It's the weight of our sun, so it was quite heavy, as you probably recognized in the pictures, because the belly of Alexander was also very big, a twin belly actually. Yeah. So this is actually the final picture of my presentation. If you have any questions, don't ask me. So thanks for the attention. And I published I also published this dummy. I self-published dummy. 5070, like the Bideshi photo book. Already working on a book, on a real book, and I'll try to find a publisher. But this is very young. Also, Bideshi is quite young, and there are some other books which are already published. This is one of it. It's about concentration camps, and it's about fascism in a way in the 1940s in Europe. Here's also a book about which I published together with a writer who is living in the Austrian Alps. And yeah, if you're interested, you can have a look. So thanks, and it's nice. Yeah, if there are any questions.
Any questions?
Okay.
I can talk.
Really? Are you serious?
I can ask Alexandra to stand up for a second so that everyone knows that you're here too. How is it to live with a photographer? I guess it's a question to both of you. You are both photographers, I think. So how is it between both of you?
It's your turn.
I would say it's on the one hand an enrichment for our relationship, but it's also making it more difficult sometimes. But I think it's fine because we can maybe have good effect on each other at the same time. But it's difficult to talk about everything. For example, the Bideshi studio was his project. I was just the assistant, so I was there anyway. So of course there are some conflicts resulting out of this. I'm loud enough. Or did you want to know another special?
Some personal things. What's happened before Baldwin? This is the name of our son.
Takes a picture of his son.
The most pictures of our son I do because he has never enough time to.
Yeah. I did the pictures before, and she is responsible for the pictures now.
Someone else?
Talking about your sorry. Oh, no. I should stay away, I guess. No, talking about your project in Bangladesh. How did that evolve? I mean, obviously, how did you connect with the community, and if you can reflect off in terms of how the process happened, why Bangladesh to begin with, and was there any specific thing? And what I really liked was that how you managed to bring in the local elements, including the community's involvement, as well as how you use the local product like bamboo and their local skills. How did that entire process come up?
I think I mentioned it before. I came to Bangladesh twice before, and I photographed this project in Rudapur, this architecture project, which was built and planned by a friend of us. And she asked me if I could photograph, if I could document this project. And I was there 2 times before in this village, in this particular village, and I thought, and problem. No, it wasn't a problem. They asked me all the time when I went through the villages in this time, just photograph me. Bideshi, shobi, all the time, Bideshi. I don't know, do you know what Bideshi means? Yeah. So, it's important to say to the rest of the audience, but, Europe or from Western countries. So Videshi means foreigner, yeah, and they ask me all the time, Videshi, Videshi, shobi, shobi, and I show them the picture when I photograph digital, you know, and yeah, this was, you know, but, and then I thought on my second flight back to Europe, oh, it would be great to become a village photographer, you know, we had good time in this period, and we had fun, and even if I'm not able to speak Bangla, but, you know, there was a connection, and, you know, I'm also a villager, maybe it has something to do with this, we're living in a small village in Austria, the population is 90, so it's much smaller than Rudrapur. So Rudrapur is comparing to Alfort a mega city. Yeah, I wanted to come back. I tried to get money and to try to set up all these things. And I got money. I received some grants or a scholarship for this project from different institutions. And in 2008, we went to Bangladesh and we made it happen. So it's not so. I mean, it's a long way, but actually, it's very simple to describe. I mean, it's always the question: should we go abroad and do projects in these countries or not? I'm not sure if it's necessary, of course, but for me, it is necessary because it makes me a better human being. If I travel and if I try to get in touch with different people from different countries and different cultures. So, but I'm not sure, and I'm sure I will not change the world with this thing. It's only a small step for me, and I think every photographer must be very selfish. I think we have to be selfish in a way, every artist, because the discipline is or the art or photography, the world the world is very, very. It's not nice sometimes. It's really. Actually, it's a stupid business. If you see the whole thing, because the whole thing is how do you come to festivals? I mean, it's easy. If you are here, it's nice, and if I can talk to you, and if we can discuss things, it's really wonderful. But there are so many photographers who are not able to travel or not invited to festivals, and you know there are so many galleries, but too many photographers who are not able to exhibit and who wants to exhibit, but they have no possibility. So on the one hand, people who are able to travel and to exhibit works are very privileged, but on the other hand, it's you know it's actually it's a bad business.
For the Bangladesh project, a lot of the people, for example, are outside the context. So they have the mud background behind them. Look at the old guy with the glasses or someone with a bike in his family. Was there an element also of storytelling with that? As in, who are these people? Because
you know, I published the names of the people and the age and some things in the book, but not here in the presentation and also not in the exhibition. But I think it's maybe a good thought, because it would have been better to publish also the names or to exhibit also the names of the people in the exhibition, but I didn't.
The thing they all have in common is that they live in that village. That's the reason why we put them there and why they're all in that kind of surrounding.
I think
Community.
the question more was, so if you have community involvement in that, when I look at a picture like that, I'm thinking, who is this person? Like, what's his story in the village? Like, the old guy.
We tried to get the story of each person. We really had the catalog with our questions. So, what's your age? What's your family composition? What's your profession? But the thing was, we photographed, I think, 200, maybe more persons, and the answers were very similar to each other. So nearly all of them told us they are farmers. Nearly all of them told us that the biggest wish for the future is to have their own house or a new house. So this was not the really interesting thing. So maybe we decided also to concentrate it on the faces, to concentrate the the picture on the person and not so much the information, because they even don't know their age very often. For the children, yes, but the men or women older than 30 years have no idea about their real birth dates.
Yeah, the question is, of course, is it necessary to know this detail? I mean, I'm always thinking about this kind of thing, that just write down the names and the places and blah blah blah, and then you put it under the picture in the exhibition, and I think it actually doesn't make sense when I'm thinking on this kind of thing, because we cut it, we isolate the person, put it in a total different culture, in a total different place. We put it in a very straight or clean exhibition room or gallery, and you lose the relation between the photo and the person itself. So maybe it's better to work without subtitles or without names or without additional information that I know. Because we made, if you're photographing things or subjects, you isolate them and you put it in a totally different context in the end. And the question is also, is there a way to transfer all the information, or is it only a new thing which we created? I mean, has the picture to do with a person or not? Maybe a question. And so, if this is the case, then there is no sense to put all this additional information down. It's very difficult to answer. Maybe there is no right answer, probably. So,
Thank you very much. I'm going to try and